Some horror stories are scary, creepypastas that get under your skin and stick with you long after you've read them. But these don't even make sense until the very last second. And once you understand, you'll wish you didn't. In today's video, I am gonna tell you some scary stories so messed up they'll leave you questioning reality itself. So if you're scared of losing your mind, then click away now. But if you want to find out what's truly lurking in the shadows, then stay tuned. The stories are coming. The wrong room. I checked into a cheap motel late at night. I was too tired to care about the peeling wallpaper or the flickering lights, and my keycard said room 204. Inside, it smelled like damp carpet. I unpacked, took a shower, and fell asleep to the hum of the air conditioner. At 3 a.m., I woke to the sound of someone unlocking my door. A man in a suit stepped inside, looking shocked. "What are you doing in my room?" he asked. I told him the front desk gave me the key. He shook his head and said, "This room has been empty since the incident." Confused, I followed him to the lobby. The man at the front desk looked up, startled. I asked him about the other man in the room, but he didn't seem to know what I was talking about. "You're the only guest registered for tonight," he said. "Are you sure?" I asked, "Because I have this key card, and it says room 204. The motel clerk took the card, his eyes widening. "I'm sorry," he stammered, "but there seems to be a mistake. There are no rooms here. This place closed down years ago." I felt a chill crawl up my spine. The windows were boarded up, the parking lot empty. We stepped outside. The neon sign above the motel had vanished, leaving us in darkness. Looking back at the building, I saw the words, "Welcome to Hillview Motel." But when I turned to the clerk, he was staring at a sign that read, "Beware of dog." Then he smiled, revealing a set of sharp, pointed teeth. The last day of school, on the last day of school, I decided to skip class and go home early. As I walked through the deserted halls, I heard a voice behind me. I froze. Slowly turning around, I saw a boy I hadn't seen all year. He was grinning, and I could see the outline of something in his hands. "What do you have there?" I asked cautiously. He approached me, his grin widening, revealing a mouthful of sharp teeth. "Want to join me?" he asked, holding out what looked like a bloody meat cleaver. Terrified, I ran. I raced through the school, dodging lockers and desks, the boy's laughter echoing behind me. Suddenly I tripped, scraping my knee on the floor. As I struggled to get up, he loomed over me, his face inches from mine. "Come on," he whispered, his breath hot on my face. "Let's have some fun." With a surge of adrenaline, I pushed him off and ran again. I didn't stop until I reached the front doors. As I stumbled outside, I turned to look back. The school was gone, replaced by a dark, imposing mansion. In the distance, I could hear the boys' laughter echoing through the empty halls. Each story is meticulously crafted to keep you guessing until the very end. Now I'm going to tell you one more, and you'll be ready to lose your mind. The abandoned hospital. While exploring an abandoned hospital, I came across a room filled with old medical equipment. In the corner, I found a cabinet with a glass window. Inside was a metal box with a lock. I tried to open it, fascinated, when suddenly the room began to shake. Alarms blared as the glass window shattered. I backed away, tripping over a chair. The room started to fill with a thick, black fog. Coughing, I watched as the fog formed into a humanoid shape. It lunged at me, and I screamed, scrambling to my feet and running. I didn't stop until I burst through the front doors. Outside, the hospital seemed different. It was modern, bustling with activity. People rushed past me, their faces pale and drawn. I stumbled, falling to my knees. A woman rushed to my side, her eyes filled with concern. "Are you okay?" she asked. Startled, I looked up. She was holding a syringe filled with a swirling black liquid. "It's an experimental drug," she said, her voice raspy. "It will help you forget." But before I could respond, she pressed the syringe into my arm, and everything went black. And that's the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Scary Stories that will break your mind. If you liked it, please hit the like button and subscribe for more terrifying tales. Today you're going to see the scariest message ever found in a bathroom mirror. These stories are based on true events, so let's begin. After my shower, I wiped the steam from the bathroom mirror and saw words written across it. Don't trust her. Now, I live alone. I work from home. My husband travels a lot. He wasn't due back for another week, though. So who could have been here? I took a picture and sent it to him. I think you can guess the rest. Who wrote this? No answer. I was too scared to look in the bathroom mirror again. The thought of someone or something being in my bathroom, watching me while I showered, drove me crazy. I tried to calm myself down by telling myself there was a perfectly logical explanation. I just needed to find it. I went back into the bathroom and turned on all the lights. I needed to see. I looked everywhere, but didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Then I noticed a window. It was slightly open. Maybe someone had climbed in through that. But then I remembered I always keep the window closed when I shower. It's the only way I can stand the sound of the water. I check the window every time before I get in. I knew that whoever did this had to be in my apartment. But how, why, and how long had they been there? I called my best friend. She came over and I filled her in on what happened. We decided to search the entire apartment. But while we were doing so, I kept glancing at the mirror, half expecting to see a face staring back at me. I don't know what was scarier, the thought of a stranger being in my apartment, or the fact that I had unheard him enter. The stranger part was pretty terrifying, but the not hearing him enter was seriously unnerving. How could someone break into my house and I wouldn't hear them? When my friend and I couldn't find any signs of forced entry, she suggested maybe I had imagined the whole thing. Well, that was possible. I stared at the mirror. I had definitely seen someone in there. But if it was my friend playing a really cruel joke, it would explain why I hadn't heard him come in. I had gotten so distracted looking for a burglar that I hadn't even thought about checking if my friend was playing a prank on me. I told her to wait here while I went to the bathroom to check. When I came out, my face was pale. "You're not going to believe this," I said. "There's a note in the bathroom." I handed her the phone. As she read the message, her eyebrows shot up in surprise. "He doesn't know where you live," she said, and suddenly it clicked. I laughed nervously. It was supposed to be funny. It's a harmless joke, just a little scary. Yeah, it was funny actually, kind of, but I still didn't know how he got in. And then I remembered something. When we first met, I had shown him my apartment, but we had only been friends for a few months, and I had unshown him the inside of my house yet. I'd planned to do it soon, but clearly I should have done it sooner. I was just glad that whatever was in my bathroom was actually my friend and not some random guy. I mean, I was glad because I knew he wouldn't hurt me. But also, I was super annoyed that he had trespassed and snuck into my house without my knowledge. I told him off and asked him how he'd gotten in. He mumbled that he'd picked up my spare key. I must have left it somewhere. Oh yeah, that made perfect sense. I always misplace things. But then I realized something that was far from funny. If he had a key, then he had entered my house multiple times. The thought of him hiding in my apartment while I was showering really freaked me out. I immediately asked him how many times he'd been in my house. He said he'd been in twice before. I felt sick to my stomach. I told him that I wanted him gone, and I ushered him to the door. Once he left, I changed my locks. I felt better after I did that. I was glad I had my own space back. This happened when I was a kid. My sister and I were playing in our playroom, which had 2 doors. One led outside to the garden, and the other one led into the main part of the house. One day we were playing with some dolls, and we decided to hide them in the different hiding spots in the playroom. As we were playing, my sister went missing. At first I thought she had gone out through the door into the garden, but when I checked, she wasn't there. I then went to check in the main part of the house, and she was nowhere to be seen. A few minutes passed, and I started to get scared because this had never happened before. My sister would always tell me where she was going, and we always stayed in the same room when we played. This time, however, I couldn't hear her anywhere. I called out for her, but there was no reply. So I went to go and find Mom. On the way, I walked past the playroom, and I could have sworn I heard my sister's voice from inside the room. I stopped and listened, but it sounded like she was just making weird noises. So I shrugged it off and continued to go find Mom. When I told Mom what had happened, she said, "Don't be silly. There's no way she could have gotten out without you noticing. She must be in one of the rooms nearby. Just go check again." But when I got back to the playroom, both my sister and the dolls were gone. I don't remember what happened exactly after that, but I do remember that we ended up finding my sister hiding under my bed. All the dolls were also found under there too. We had no idea how she managed to hide all of them under the bed, and why she decided to stay there. I remember asking her if she wanted to play hide and seek, but she just looked at me with an evil smile and said no, not anymore. Since then, every time I see a doll, it reminds me of that day and I feel uneasy. I'm glad that my sister is okay now, but sometimes I wonder if that incident changed her, or if it was just a phase that every kid goes through.